As an American, how have you handled this trial?
I'm a Trump fan, 100%. I think what they're doing to him is outrageous.
Today's a big day. I mean, Trump trial is wrapped up. What do you think's going to happen? How do you feel?
You know, my husband, I'm kind of in like a different place. He thinks he's going to get convicted. I think it's just a big nothing burger.
Do you feel that this trial...
It's just a target.
He's a target.
Yeah, he is. They know that he has a chance to make America great again, and they're just using that against him. That's what it is. It's just dirty politicians.
Looking for a guilty verdict.
Looking for a guilty verdict. Mm-hmm. Do you think it could happen?
Could happen.
I think ultimately he'll be able to run even if he is convicted. I think it's more of like a show, and I try to stay away from the noise.
It is the Martha Zoller Show. I thought that was such a great clip because this is just kind of man on the street, people around the New York courtroom. And Logan, you can't see the video, but there's a woman who says, I'm a Trump supporter. The second person is a man who says he has a husband, so I'm assuming he's gay. I don't want to make assumptions about people, but then there was a lady with an accent, Hispanic, looked like a Hispanic lady, and then there was a guy who thought he was guilty. So they talked to four people, and one out of the four thought he was going to be guilty, which falls along with that 75% prediction for a hung jury, which is kind of interesting.
It's fitting. And
yes, it's very fitting.
Like I said, I don't think they were going for that, but it worked out perfectly.
It worked out perfectly, how it happens by accident. Now, granted, man on the street kind of stuff is not scientific. You're just taking whoever's willing to talk to you, okay? But I will tell you that even though this was a Fox News clip, and maybe she did have a Fox News camera person with her, but her microphone did not say Fox News on it like it usually does. So these people probably didn't know who they were talking to. It was just a random, hey, what do you think about this trial? Now, I got a text message in at 770-535-2911, and it says, look how much money has been wasted on this frivolous trial, and they wonder why the working people have lost all faith in our leaders. It's so true. And it's not just on the New York trial, okay? You've got the Atlanta trial, and I know I keep harping on this, where there are more than 14,000 felony cases that have not been indicted. There are 4,000 rape kits that have not been processed, and all the time and money is being spent on this one Trump trial. Now, I know Fonnie Willis says she can walk and chew gum at the same time, and clearly the people that vote for her agree with her. The people in Fulton County who get out to vote in primaries agree with her, okay? So that's unfortunately where we are right now, is that people, and this is the best example of this, actually, people get the government they deserve. So I was watching Fox and Friends this morning, and they had Charlemagne the God on talking about his new book. And he admits he's got Trump derangement syndrome, but he said there's three kinds of voters. And I'm going to paraphrase here because the last group of voters is the most important one. He says there's going to be, the old person, the crazy person, and the couch person, something like that. But what's important is, and this is what I mentioned yesterday, the biggest thing that progressives, which he is one, progressives are concerned about is apathy. There's been a lot of talk about us, about Republicans. I can't tell you how many times I have been asked to justify something that Donald J. Trump says. And I am proudly, if I had a button, I should get a button made with this on it. But I voted for Donald Trump twice. I gave him money in the last election. I voted for Nikki Haley in the primary, and I'm part of that 20% of Republican voters that is probably going to come around and vote for Donald Trump, but I'm not there yet. And I don't mind saying it. It doesn't matter what y'all throw at me. It doesn't matter. This is where I am on this. I know things were better when Donald Trump was president. I just am having a very hard time getting past, are these the two best choices we have? But I'll get there. And really, historically, parties don't get unified. We're pretty close to it. But parties don't get unified until they get to their conventions. And then they have all the rah-rah around the conventions, and then everybody's happy coming out of it. You know, I'll be there. But the fact of the matter is that we get asked why we support Trump, how could we support Trump, how we could support Marjorie Taylor Greene. The list goes on. Every outrageous thing that a Republican says or does gets asked about and gets covered. The Democrat stuff, though, gets deep sixed. You know, there are not enough independent media sources to deal with all the things. Okay, you've got the grandchild of the President of the United States that was Hunter Biden's out-of-wedlock child that had to fight for the money to be taken care of. They don't want this child to have the Biden last name. And they won't give Secret Service to this child, even though every other Biden grandchild has got Secret Service. Okay? So that's not a very nice, compassionate man. That's not a man that loves his family. This child it's not her fault she was born out of wedlock. Okay? And this is supposed to be a guy that values life. He's not pro-life, as he will tell you. But he's supposed to be a guy that values life, but he doesn't. Okay? He's got problems with women from the past. I mean, Lord knows Donald Trump got tried for something that happened over 30 years ago. Well, there are just as many stories of Joe Biden doing inappropriate things to women, up to and including sexual assault. But nobody ever talks about that. He's a horrible human being. It gets deep sixed all the time. And we heard the clip from him saying, 92% of Democrats are going to vote for him. Well, that's what they tell him, because they're not giving him the bad news. But the fact of the matter is, what Democrats are terrified of is that people are going to stay home. They're going to be so disgusted that they're going to stay home. That young people are going to stay home and black men are going to stay home. Because they're not to the point that they can vote Republican yet, but they don't want to vote Democrat. And a portion of those will cross over and vote Republican when it comes right down to it. But the media is not covering that. You would think if you watched most mainstream media that the big problem was on the Republican side. But let me tell you something, folks. The Republican base has been solidified. The Republican base is solidly behind Donald J. Trump. Then there is the people that just vote Republican but aren't a part of the Republican base, and they are probably going to vote for Donald Trump. And then you have those squishy Republican women that we talked about at the beginning of the segment that vote different ways. For the last 30 years, they've voted different ways. In 96, they voted for Clinton. In 2004, they voted for Bush. In 2012, they voted for Obama. In 2016, they voted for Trump. In 2020, they voted for Biden. The question is, who are they going to vote for, and will they vote in 2024? That is the question. And I'm just laying this out so that you understand the lay of the land here. This is what you're looking at. And if you live in the world of the Trump base, or like my friend Otis, that you live in the world of the Biden base, you don't see these other groups of people because you are so entrenched in your position, and that's why you're solidified in the base, that you don't see these other people because you don't really talk to them. If you do, you tell them they're wrong. You don't listen to why they have concerns. And that's not how we're going to bring people over. Because, look, I want Republicans to win. I want Republicans to win big. I want Republicans to win so big that, as Donald Trump said a number of years ago, we're going to get tired of winning. What I am is tired of losing. Okay? Since 2018, we've been losing. Okay? And it's been a trickle in the House of Representatives since this stupidness around Kevin McCarthy a year ago, almost 8 months ago. This stupidness where we've gone, it's not an election loss, but it's this 1, 2, 3, 4 fewer Republican congressmen. And now we have a 1-vote majority. It's a problem, folks. It's a big, big problem. So you can go around and say, and it's not many of you that give me a hard time. Most of you really understand what I'm saying, that all I'm trying to do is make sure you have the facts so that you'll go to the polls. Because staying home is not an option. Letting somebody win because the other side stays home is not the best way to win. It's still winning, and I'll take it. But the Democrats have a heck of a lot more to worry about on that front. Because really, who is excited to vote for Joe Biden? Otis was in here last week, which was fantastic. And Otis gave a legitimate reason as to why he supports Joe Biden. 1, because he's a Democrat. 2, because his pension plan got bailed out under the Biden administration. So he loves where he is right now. I completely understand why Otis is voting Democrat in this election. He's voting his pocketbook. Now, if all of us vote our pocketbook, though, it will be a landslide for Donald Trump. Because most of us don't have a pension like Otis does. Most of us do not have the ability to fall back on something like that. Most of us have to save the money we retire on. We'll be back.